Hey everybody, welcome to another top 10 list, and today I will be sharing my top 10 movies I like but everyone else hates. Yes, this has been a list I've been kind of wanting to do for a while. This and vice versa, movies I hate but everyone likes. I will be doing that sometime soon. Get ready to hate me whenever that video comes out though. but um but no, today I thought I'd do this, start with movies I like but everyone else hates. Yeah, so all right, so of course keep in mind, you know, I like these movies. In my opinion, I like them. A lot of these movies aren't really that good. Some of them I do think are actually pretty good. But some of them I don't necessarily think are good. I just happen to like them. Maybe they're a guilty pleasure, or I don't know. I just like them. I think they're funny or something. Uh, I think most of these are probably comedies, but and the ones that aren't necessarily comedies, they're still funny because they might be kind of bad. But anyways, but yeah, I thought I'd do this list. So yeah, top 10 movies I like but everyone hates. And there are no honorable mentions. I'm just going to go with 10. So, all right, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? All right. Coming in at number 10 is a comedy starring Will Ferrell, and this movie, for a lot of people, some people might say it's one of his worst movies. I 100% disagree. This is actually one of my favorite Will Ferrell movies. That is Semi Pro. Yeah, I like Semi Pro. Always have. It's been a little while since I've seen it though. Maybe my opinion will change, but I doubt it because there is another movie I liked around this time too. Whenever I first saw this one, I liked this other movie, and this other movie you'll see in a minute still holds up. So I bet you this one will probably still hold up too. But yeah, Semi Pro, I think it's one of my favorite Will Ferrell movies, and maybe top five, if not top five, then top 10 for sure. But like I don't think it's as good or funny like Anchorman or Elf, but I would say it's about as funny as Talladega Nights. I would say, and maybe even Step Brothers. So yeah, I really like Semi Pro. You also got Woody Harrelson in it and Andre Benjamin. Yeah, it's a funny movie. And also here's a fact. Here's a little fact for you. This was actually my first R-rated movie. Whenever I was like 12, 13, something like that. Like I wasn't allowed to watch R-rated movies then, and I wasn't allowed to watch this movie. And I remember one time my mom went out with a friend or some with a friend of hers, and I was home alone, so she had this movie, so I snuck in her room and got it and watched it because I loved Will Ferrell during that time. So yeah, no, I loved it then, and yeah, I need to rewatch it again. It's been quite a while, but yeah, Semi Pro. That is number 10. All right, number 9. My number 9. Now this movie isn't a comedy. However, it is hilarious because it's like you know kind of bad. It is kind of a bad movie, and it's really funny. I wouldn't say it's a terrible movie. Some people might disagree with me there and say it is a terrible movie, but my number 9 is Spider-Man 3. Yes, and unpopular opinion, this is my favorite out of the Sam Raimi trilogy. It really is. Um, I mean, the other two, I like the first one okay, and the second one, I'm not too into that one to be honest. But I will say, like the whole trilogy, I kind of just find them as comedies, anyways, because they're kind of corny and cheesy and stuff. Yeah, I know I might get shot in the face for that, um, but no, they're all supposed to be like, I mean, they're all pretty corny and whatnot, and this one is the definitely the funniest out of the three, and it is. I mean, it is the worst out of the three. I will agree with that because I do think the first two are not great, but they're decent. I guess they're decent superhero movies. This one, not so much, but it is hilarious and there's a little bit of good moments. I will say Sandman in this movie is actually pretty awesome, and he's played by Thomas Hayden Church, who I think is great in this film. I actually have heard someone say that he was terrible in this movie. Fuck you. He was the best thing about it. Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman, and like I love his whole story and whatnot in this film. Um, but yeah, of course you got Tobey Maguire doing that goofy dance and whatnot, and yeah, this movie is hilarious. But I do like it because it is hilarious. It's one of the funniest superhero movies I have ever seen. Yeah, Spider-Man 3 is number 9. All right, my number 8. I talked about this one in my Coen Brothers ranking, and this movie, of course, it's a Coen Brothers movie, and most people I think will say that this is their worst film. I don't agree. I think Hell Caesar is their worst film, but I actually didn't mind this one. I actually liked this movie. I thought it was funny. My number 8 is The Ladykillers. Yeah, by the Coen brothers. I've only seen it once, whenever I watched it for the Coen brothers ranking, but I had a good time watching this movie. I thought it was really funny. I mean, there's not every joke in the movie hits, but I I I I laughed quite a bit though. I have to be honest. Tom Hanks is really funny in this movie. J.K. Simmons as well. Damian Wayans was kind of funny too, and the other two dudes, and even the black lady was really funny in the movie. I haven't seen the original. This is actually a remake to a British film that came out, I think I want to say in the 50s, maybe. But I would like to see that one. I've heard that one is better. But yeah, I actually like the Lady Killers. I think it's dumb, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, Lady Killers is number 8. Okay, my number 7. Now this one is from one of my favorite directors. I have talked about him a lot on this channel, and he does have a mixed bag of a filmography, but I still love the dude anyways. I only hate one of his films, but and I also did a filmography ranking of his. Go check it out once I say the name. That is his name. And there's another movie by him we'll get to later. But my number 7 is Jersey Girl, directed by Kevin Smith. Yeah, Jersey Girl. Now, this movie's not great. It does have some issues, but I think for the most part, I think it's all right. I actually think that the script is very good. I think Kevin did a great job writing the script, and this was, his first film outside of the View Askew universe without Jay and Silent Bob, and I think for the most part, script wise, I think he did a great job. Ben Affleck, I think, is very good in this film. The late great George Carlin is really good as well and funny. I like the little girl in the movie too. She was great. Liv Tyler wasn't bad. Yeah, I think this is a all right film. I think it's a pretty decent movie. It's about fatherhood, and yeah, I enjoy it. I do enjoy this movie. I don't love it, and I definitely don't think it's one of his best, but I don't think it's his worst. That would be Cop Out. That's the only Kevin Smith movie I hate is Cop Out. Um, but Jersey Girl I think is okay. And again, I do have another Kevin Smith movie coming up in a little bit. But yeah, Jersey Girl, that is number 7. All right, my number 6. Now this one, I'm not really sure if I wanted to put this one, if this should be on here anyways, because this movie might be kind of divisive now, but it was pretty hated whenever it came out. I think a lot of people hated this movie whenever it came out. I think I just mostly just put it on here because the Nostalgia Critic put put this on his list of movies he liked but everyone else hates. So I think that's the main reason, and also because it was very, people hated it when it came out. But I think nowadays, I think there is a fan base for it. There's probably still some people that hate this movie, but my number 6 is a Jim Carrey movie, and this is, I have to be honest, this might be my favorite Jim Carrey comedy film. Not counting Man on the Moon and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I think those movies are a little bit more dramatic. There is some comedy in them, yes, but this is, I think, my favorite Jim Carrey comedy movie, and I have it on VHS actually. My number 6 is The Cable Guy. Yeah, Cable Guy. Jim Carrey is insane in this film. His character is just crazy. Um, him and Matthew Broderick, they have great chemistry in this film. And this was directed by Ben Stiller, actually, and he did a great job directing this film. Um, yeah, I think this is one of his funniest films, Jim Carrey. I'm not a big Jim Carrey fan. I think he's a good actor, but but a lot of his comedy movies, I'm not really into. I like Dumb and Dumber, but like some of his others, like Ace Ventura, I'm not really into. So, but I do like Cable Guy. I think Cable Guy is one of maybe his funniest movie, to be honest. It's more of, I would say it's more kind of like a dark comedy, but I love dark comedy, so yeah, I love Cable Guy. It's really funny, really weird, and but yeah, Cable Guy, that is my number 6. All right, now we're in the top 5. My number 5, now this one, along with like Semi Pro, were movies that I grew up with whenever I was a teenager, like a young teenager, like even like whenever I was like 12 or something. I um I grew up with these kind of comedies, and this one this one I loved whenever I was a teenager. And about I want to say about, okay, no, 2 years ago, because it was during the pandemic. I remember whenever I was in quarantine, yeah, in 2020. Um, this movie I watched again. This was around the time, that was around the time whenever I was starting to watch a lot of great films, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go back and see if this movie still holds up. And it did. This movie still held up after all those years. I still think this movie is really funny. I mean, it's been about 2 years now since I've seen it, but it's still fresh in my mind. I still like it. My number 5 is Year One. Yes, yes, Year One. Um, Starring Jack Black and Michael Cera, and it is directed by the late great Harold Ramis. Yes, Harold Ramis, the Harold Ramis from Ghostbusters. And he's also directed great comedy films like Caddyshack um, and Groundhog Day and National Lampoon's Vacation. I think now, okay, I might like this, hot take. I might like this better in Caddyshack, but I think I think I do like Groundhog Day and Vacation better than this. But no, I think this movie is really funny, and I don't understand why people say it's not funny. It, I mean, yes, there's a lot of crude humor in it, a lot of dumb jokes in it, but I think it works, and I do. I think Jack Black and Michael Cera are hilarious in this movie. They have great chemistry too in the film, and you got other people in this film like Olivia Wilde and Juno Temple and Oliver Platt. Is that his name? Yeah, Oliver Platt, Hank Azaria, David Cross, and Paul Rudd are in this movie as those brothers. I think they were brothers in the Bible. There's like some Bible stuff in this film because it's called Year One. The Cain and Abel, and that scene with them too. It's honestly my favorite scene of the movie. It kills me every time. David Cross was hilarious in that scene. Also, McLovin from Superbad, Christopher Mintz-Plasse is in this as well, and Bill Hader as well. I think this movie is funny. I really do. And I don't understand why people don't think it's funny. Why people hate this movie. Some people would probably say if they even realize that this is a Harold Ramis film, they would probably say that it's his worst film. I disagree. I mean I haven't seen I don't know what would be his worst because I haven't seen all of his films, but I really enjoyed Year One. And yeah, it is my number five, Year One. Okay, my number four. Now this one, I think might have a fan base, but I don't think. I think it flopped whenever it came out. It didn't do very well. But this was one of the first, maybe the first Robin Williams movie. If not, then it was one of. I think it might have been maybe the first one of his where he was the leading role. But yeah, this is a Robin Williams movie, and my number four is the live action Popeye movie from 1980, starring Robin Williams as Popeye and Shelley Duvall as Olive Oil. Which, by the way, both of those perfect casting, like perfect. They're both great in this film. Like Robin Williams can really pull off a great Popeye impression. He is just so good in this movie, really funny too. And Shelley Duvall, like say what you will about her, I know some people might shit on her, say she's a bad actress, but this and The Shining, even though I feel sorry for her, with The Shining, her and Stanley Kubrick, yeah, but I think she's great in both of them, and I think I really like her performance as Olive Oil, and I also think that this is a really good musical. Um, yeah, this is a musical, and the songs on here are actually really good and really catchy. My favorite is actually the one that Shelley Duvall sings, called "He Needs Me," which was actually in the Paul Thomas Anderson film Punch Drunk Love as well. But yeah, and I forgot to mention this is directed by Robert Altman, and this is actually the only Robert Altman film I have ever seen. I know I need to see more of his films. But no, I really like this movie. I saw this as a kid. My brother showed me this whenever I was a kid, and I liked it then. And as years went by, I like it even more. It is a silly movie, but the Popeye cartoons are pretty silly too. It's basically just an literally is a live action Popeye movie. But I think it works. Like if you're gonna make a Popeye movie, even live action, you got to go over the top and silly, and that's what this movie does. I don't think this movie's bad at all. I think it's actually good. I think it's great actually. Of how it was made and stuff. Like I don't think it could be any better, and I don't understand. Again, there might be a fan base for it. I'm not really sure. There's probably some people that like it, but I think most people don't. They think it's just lame and not funny and whatnot. But I really enjoy Popeye, and that is my number four. All right, now we're in the top three. My number three is a movie that I grew up with. I had this on VHS whenever I was a kid, and I loved it. I would watch it all the time. I remember whenever I was a kid, and this movie again still holds up even to this day. I think it's actually a really good kids movie from the '90s. My number my number three is Casper. Yes, Casper from 1996, 95, 1995. Yes. I I don't understand why people don't like this movie. Why I think now, of course, there's probably a fan base for it, probably people that grew up with it, but I and maybe it's nostalgia, but I think, like I said, I think this movie is actually a good kids movie from the '90s. And you got, of course, Christina Ricci in this film, who honestly, I think because of this movie, might have been my first celebrity crush. Like my first, whenever I was a kid, like my first celebrity crush. I think she might have been, and Bill Pullman as well is in this, and Eric Idle, who's hilarious in this movie. Um, yeah, I I like Casper. I think this movie is really good, really funny. I love the three ghosts in this film. I know Brad Garrett from Everybody Loves Raymond plays the fat one. I don't know who the other two voice actors were, but yeah, I I like Casper. Again, maybe it's because it's nostalgia, but I still enjoy this film. And yeah, Casper is my number three. All right, my number two. I have talked about this one quite a bit on the channel. This was in my, I believe this was in my top 10 most underrated movies. Um, but I put this in this one too because there is, I know there's some people that don't like this movie. When it came out, it didn't do very well, and I don't know. I think some people see it as a sex comedy, and that's only because the way it was advertised, the way it was marketed as a sex comedy when it's really a romantic comedy. And I actually rewatched this just a few days ago, um, see if it still holds up, and it does. This movie still holds up. My number two is The Girl Next Door. Yeah, I I really like The Girl Next Door. I think this is a great romantic comedy. Emile Hirsch and Cuthbert, Alicia Cuthbert, I guess is how you say her name. I think they have great chemistry in this film, and they're both really good and funny and whatnot. Also, you have Timothy Oliphant in this film. He is hilarious. He's You could say he might be the villain in this movie. If there is a villain, it's probably him. But he's great and he's really funny in this movie. You also got Paul fucking Dano in this film as well. So yeah, but I really like The Girl Next Door. I always have. I blame it on the marketing. I think that's the reason why most people haven't seen this movie, but if they have, they still say that it's a sex comedy. Yes, there is a lot of sexual jokes, but it's not a sex comedy. It's a romantic comedy. Um, I will say though, there is some cringy jokes, but even some of the cringy jokes are pretty funny, to be honest. But there is some of that, and the story's really good, but it does have a little bit of plot holes, especially in the third act. I noticed quite a bit of plot holes, and I won't say anything because spoilers. Um, but other than that, I still think this movie's good. I still think this movie is great and it's really funny. Even some of the dramatic moments in this film works. Like it's actually pretty good. Yeah, I really like The Girl Next Door. I think it's underrated and underappreciated. I recommend it for sure if you haven't seen it. The Girl Next Door is my number two. And the number one movie I like but everyone else hates is the other Kevin Smith movie. This in my ranking for all of Kevin Smith's films, I actually ranked this at number four. This was in my top five, and I would still say, yeah, this is in my top five favorite Kevin Smith movies. Number one is Tusk. Yes, Tusk. Man, I think the people who say that this movie is terrible are just they don't get it. They don't understand. They don't understand that this is really just a comedy. They just think just a really bad horror film, but it's not. It's a comedy horror film, and I will say the actual parts in the movie that are supposed to be funny, for the most part, aren't really that funny. However, the horror stuff in this movie is hilarious. Like it is really funny. The horror elements in this film is hilarious. And I think Justin Long and Michael Parks are both fantastic in this film, especially Michael Parks as the villain. Um they're great. The other the other part of the story with Haley Joel Osment and Genesis Rodriguez and Johnny Depp, I don't really think that really, and that wasn't really great. I know it's supposed to be important to the story, but in terms of comedy, it wasn't really much. I kind of thought Johnny Depp's character wasn't really that funny in this movie, but so there is some issues I have with it, but as a horror movie, I think this movie is as a horror comedy movie, I think it's great. I think it's really funny and it's very entertaining. I don't think this is bad at all. I think for what it is, for what it did, you know, it accomplished what it did, what it was supposed to be, and it's supposed to be a dumb, pretty much like a spoof on like cheesy body horror films from like the 80s, and that's what it did, and I think it accomplished that. It worked. It worked for me. I think it's a great horror comedy film. But yeah, Tusk, I think this movie is very underappreciated, and yeah, I had to put this at number one. Whenever I thought of this list, I was like thinking I have to put Tusk at number one. I have to. But yeah, Tusk is the number one movie I like, but everyone else hates. Yes. All right. There we go. There is my top 10 movies I like, but everyone else hates. So in the comments, please give me your top 10 movies that you like, but everyone else hates. I'm really curious to see what what you can come up with. And also, if you like any of these movies, put that down in the comments. Which one, yeah, if you like any of these, which ones? I would like to know that too. And also, if you want, also let me know if you want it. I think I'll do it anyways, but if you want me to share my top 10 movies I hate, but everyone else likes, let me know. That's gonna probably make me some enemies, but because there is a lot of movies, a lot of beloved films from people that I really don't like. So just get ready to hate me whenever that comes out. That'll be a little while because I am currently working on a Edgar Wright ranking. I'm ranking his films at the moment, and I have two left. I think that might be, not next Monday, but the Monday afterwards. I think that might be it. Um, after I do a review for Chronicle, which will be next Monday, by the way. Um, but yeah, that should be coming up. My Edgar Wright ranking because I'm almost done with that. So check that out. But the next non-review movie related film after that will maybe be that maybe be um the top 10 movies I like but everyone or I hate but everyone else likes. Anyways, all right, so this Thursday I'm gonna do a album ranking where I rank every song from an album. I don't know what yet. I'll have to think of something. And then, as I said, for Monday will be my review for Chronicle. So check that out. All right. So please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the bell. And I'll see you next time. All right. Peace.